Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about minimalist training, what it is and why it works, because that's an interesting topic that's coming back up in the online fitness world, and there seems to be a lot of debate about it again. And one of the things I've always tried to tell people is that one of the reasons there is a backlash against minimalist training is not because it doesn't work. It's because minimalist training is very hard to sell books based around. For a lot of people, not necessarily for Jim Wendler, not necessarily for Mark Ripito, but for a lot of people it really is. I mean, if you start promoting minimalist training, how are magazines going to put out new routines every month? How are people going to sell 3 or 4 different programs when there's already a bunch of proven programs that already work that are minimalist training? So the only real solution that a lot of people have is to say, no, you have to be constantly changing exercises. You need a ton of exercises. That's the only way to make it work. The minimalist training only works for really genetically gifted people or people on a lot of drugs. But the truth is, that's not necessarily the case. Now, there have been a lot of genetically gifted people on drugs who do promote minimalist training, but it works for everyone. That's the thing. People have this weird idea in their head, and this is one of the things that also is marketed to in this industry, is that everyone's a special snowflake. Right? Everyone's a snowflake. You have to find what works for you. And people can't actually accept the possibility that maybe we're all humans and have a similar training response, maybe not an exact training response, but similar enough that there will be things that work for literally every human being who doesn't have a serious medical issue preventing it. And if you want to see proof of that, go look at a simple minimalist program like Starting Strength. It's worked for everyone from high school football players trying to get big enough and strong enough to get a scholarship, all the way to various competitors in different sports, because that's a general strength and size program. It's a general program to build people up to get them ready for things. What happens when a bunch of middle-aged women or grandmas run it? They all get good results. Why? Because it's a basic template on a minimalist program in linear progression. It works. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, what the heck does a minimalist program mean? I mean, squatting 3 days a week with a bunch of sets and doing a couple other exercises behind it doesn't sound like minimalism. That sounds like a lot of work. Minimalism doesn't mean minimal gym time. Minimalism doesn't mean you don't spend 40 hours a week lifting weights. There are minimalist programs where you are literally in the weight room 40 hours per week. One of them is called Bulgarian training. But you're only doing on Bulgarian training, what, maybe 5 exercises? That's what minimalism is minimal exercise selection. Minimalist training systems usually revolve around mastering a handful of key lifts that are going to give you the most overall bang for your buck. They're going to give you the most bang for your buck. And they don't have to revolve around just the big 3 power lifts. But I will tell you the big 3 power lifts can absolutely be a foundation for size and strength. But I wouldn't recommend anybody just do the big 3 power lifts, right? There's more to training than those 3 exercises. In fact, if that's all you did, you could develop muscle imbalances that could cause injuries. You're obviously not going to have all of your muscles fully develop either if someone's trying to look better. But many a bodybuilding champion has gotten very strong on those 3 big lifts, particularly before the drug doses started getting as high as they do now. So it's not like those lifts ruin aesthetics in people who are blessed genetically for aesthetics. So here's the point. What we need to understand is that muscle hypertrophy is a product of workload. All right, that is universally agreed upon. It is a product of workload. And at the end of the day, if enough work is put on, say, your triceps, all 3 heads will get stimulation. Even an exercise that stimulates 2 of the 3 heads, say the lateral and medial head, a lot more, doesn't mean the long head isn't getting worked. And if you do enough volume, you will still see size increases in a head of a muscle that is getting less work. And that's the take home that people need to understand. And if you pick another exercise, because if you're doing several exercises, you will almost always get overlap of muscle groups. For example, let's take the tricep. A training minimalist program might include the bench press, but it could include weighted dips. We don't need to be dogmatic. You can build a lot of strength on weighted dips just as well as you can the bench press. So if someone did that, okay, 2 of the heads of their tricep are going to get more work than others. Then the third head, the long head. So what happens if you do an overhead press? Well, that puts a more load on the long head. So now you're getting a more complete stimulation of the muscle. So if you came in and you hammered those 2 exercises and got stronger and stronger at them, all 3 heads of the tricep are going to grow pretty effectively at that point. Now, minimalist training doesn't necessarily mean that you don't ever do accessories or isolation work. It just means you don't focus on them. They're an afterthought and optional. All right, that's the difference. It just means that you don't have to focus on them, that you understand that the big exercises that recruit the most muscles in your body are going to put the most muscle mass and the most strength on you. That's understood. And the point is, on any minimalist program, you pick several exercises. It could be as low as 3, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would say for most people it needs to be somewhere between 4 to 6 exercises. And if you're trying to get a very well-rounded look, it probably needs to be closer to 6. But the point is that you can get maximally developed by doing a small number of exercises if you work on mastering those lifts. And the reason I say that, every exercise that you do requires an adaptation. Meaning everyone gets this idea that they need to do a wide variety of exercises for a muscle group to stimulate it, to get all the heads, all the angles. And in some cases that is true. There are some muscles in which that's true, but not the majority of them in your body. And here's the kicker. If you maximally stimulate everything in your body, picking a few big compound movements, you are probably not going to have 4 or 5 heads of muscles through your body that are lagging. You're probably going to have 1 or 2. Well, at that point, if a person says, well, I need to develop those, then by all means, isolate them. You know what? I can tell you right now, rear delts are going to be one of them that's going to be very likely to be on that list. So if you know that, you can throw in some rear delt work. Doing some band pull-aparts for your rear delts is not going to seriously impede your recovery or take any time out of your day. So that's what you would look at with a minimalist training approach. You focus on your big lifts, and if you feel that there's something that probably could benefit from some extra direct work, you go ahead and train it. You train it, but you don't spend your time focusing on that. You focus on a few exercises because, again, back to the point, the more exercises you do, the more adaptations your body has to make. In other words, if you are doing 5 different exercises for a body part, like a lot of bodybuilders would have you do, you will get stronger on those 5 exercises slightly slower than if you only did 2 or 3. See where I'm going with this? If the ability to generate workload and total work that a muscle does is the driving factor of hypertrophy, over time, trying to adapt to too many exercises at once will equal less strength gain. That will equal less total overload, less workload that you can subject that muscle to. Not in the short term, not in 4 weeks, not in 6 weeks. You start pushing it out for months and that will be the case. So by focusing on a few very effective exercises, you can get really, really good at those lifts. And you can continue to progress on them for long periods of time. And if you get good at a handful of very big exercises, you will be stimulating maximum size and strength gain throughout the majority of your body if you made good choices in those lifts. Like I said, it doesn't have to be the big 3. You know, if someone wanted to do more contact sport type things, I could just as easily say, okay, well, maybe they shouldn't bench press as much. Maybe they should focus on the push press. Maybe someone who's going to grapple a lot, the front squat would be a better choice. Maybe the power clean for them might be a better choice than the deadlift. You know what? That's entirely possible. But if you're focusing on those 3 lifts as the primary focus, 90% of your lifting, and then you're only doing a handful of other supplemental exercises, that's called training minimalism. And that works. You could build a wrestler, an MMA fighter, whatever, using those lifts and then doing a little bit of additional supplemental work, sport-specific work that's going to help you directly in your sport or for your overall physique goals. But the point is, by doing fewer, more efficient exercises, you're actually able to generate more work because you master those lifts faster and you get stronger faster. And as you get stronger at an exercise, your 5 rep max goes up, your 10 rep max goes up, you get better and you are able to stimulate more muscle growth with every training session as a result of being better at that exercise. And that's the thing that people need to remember with those strength gains that come from a big minimalist program. It can stimulate more total growth over time. And it allows you to focus your efforts into key exercises rather than being all over the place without a real game plan. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.